Welcome to Copytraders Club, where you can learn how to make more money copy trading. I'm Gavin McCauley, my name and username on eToro. You can continue the conversation on Discord and Facebook. If you like this podcast and want to see it continue, you can do your part by recommending it to one person or group of people this week. Today, we talk to a YouTuber who features a lot of eToro related content and plenty of good investing advice. Here we go. Episode 47 of Copytraders Club, and today we're delighted to welcome Peter Roscoe from the YouTube channel LWT Trading. He describes himself as a bloke with a beard, and I can see that big brown bush of manliness right now, protruding from the limousine's rear window as it pulls up at the grand staircase of the Copytraders Clubhouse. Here he comes. Looks like he's been enjoying the complimentary bar en route. Pete, hello. Welcome to Copytraders Club.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, we're delighted to have you here. And I know you've listened to some episodes, so you know that there's a series of quickfire questions need to be answered in order to get past security at reception. You ready for those?
I'm ready and waiting.
Username on eToro.
LWT Trading.
Date you joined eToro.
Difficult question because I've got about 6 accounts, but the one that is public, let's say 14 months ago.
Year of birth.
86.
Place of residence.
Hungary.
Profession.
Retired sort of at 31, but let's go with entrepreneur.
Briefly state what you aim to achieve on eToro.
For myself, obviously become wealthier and richer, but the main goal really is to help other people reach financial freedom and be more responsible.
Name one of your investing heroes.
This is a tough question. Let's go with Munger, Charlie Munger.
Name one of your favorite investing books.
It's a book I'm just rereading twice in a row, actually, by John Cassidy called The .Con. Really good book, very similar to what's happening today.
That completes the formalities. Let's proceed into our VIP section here at the Copytraders Clubhouse. The wondrous surroundings of the Copytraders Lounge await you, Pete. Peter Roscoe, aka LWT Trading, are you ready for this magical transition?
I've been waiting for this all my life.
Okay, so Pete, here we are now in the Copytraders Lounge. It's great to have you here. We've been talking about this for quite a while.
I tell you what, it's beautiful in here. It's everything and more I ever dreamed of. Are the drinks free?
Absolutely. What can I get you?
Oh, well, it'll have to be, as a whiskey connoisseur, I'll have to probably go for a 12-year Aran.
Yasmin, you heard that right? Yeah, 2, please. Ice or water?
It's going to upset a lot of friends of mine, but I'd like 2 cubes of ice is perfect for me.
Me too. Yeah, 2 ice. Okay. All right, so you're here in 2 capacities, really. One, you're an eToro content creator on your YouTube channel, LWT Trading. And as a result of an initiative that you're running through that channel, you're also a popular investor.
Yes. Turns out that way. I'm quite popular for the wrong reasons, but there we go.
Okay, so let's talk about your YouTube channel first, LWT Trading. Obviously, that stands for London Weekend Television.
No, funnily enough, it's a question in itself. A few friends of mine started day trading low-cap stocks, the risky game, and it's something that I hadn't sort of looked into. My background is finance. After the military, I was a wealth manager in pensions. And we started a chat room to stop friends from my school making stupid mistakes. Actually, another YouTuber was in there as well, Stephen Johnson. We're all in Europe. So the market close is our evening time. So we were all having a few beers, trying to stop people making stupid mistakes. And the LWT stands for liquor with ticker. So Not many people know that.
Very good. Another thing many people might not know is that here at Copytraders Club, we're not usually fans of sexual innuendos, but I notice you like to occasionally slip one in.
Yeah, for me, being, I'm quite a sort of direct guy, let's call it that, and I don't really care too much what people say. Let's say that I'm way past that. I like to say that my mind, in that sense, is already in its 80s because I think everybody who's a grandfather doesn't care as well. Not a grandfather, to be clear, but the point I think is we live in a world, especially now, where people are too caught up and negative and scared of what's going on. Let's have fun with it. I'm not in the game to have 3 million subscribers. I'm there to have one that hopefully changes the way they look at finance. And, not just that, talking about financial statements is pretty damn boring. So if you can make it a bit more relative, and what's more relative? Everybody likes something that's a little bit of an innuendo, because that's as a primate, that's our goal in life. So that's where I've tried to do it. We did that with the STI series, the stock ticker inspection, which came off quite well. Then people started getting offended by it, so we slowed that down. But that's coming back next year.
Well, I mean, I like the tone of your
thank you
of your channel. It's very, you keep it real, but the tone is kind of, I suppose, laddish. You would probably concede. Would you balk at being called a bit of a lad, a bit of a geezer?
Well, on paper, I mean, I'm a British military veteran who owns a shooting range, who has over 200 bottles of whiskey in my collection. You could say that, but deep down, I'm a family man. I love nothing more than coming home, chilling out with a movie every night with my 2-year-old. And yeah, I mean, them days might be behind me, but I don't know, maybe I come off that way. It's a tough question, but maybe that's the way people perceive it. But my audience, actually, I was speaking to another YouTuber in Canada who has a finance channel, and I actually have 3 times as many women watching my videos as he does. So I have a lot of females watching me. Maybe it's the beard, I don't know. But without getting too much into male versus female, I think females are naturally better than men at sniffing out what I'd call BS. I'm not going to swear because I don't want to get kicked out the lounge here. There's a guy called New York Angelo. I remember watching his second video on AMC, and he had like 300 subscribers. And he has now like 3 times as many as me, because it's just AMC, 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 AMC to the moon. And I think that guys naturally are probably going to be less risk averse, let's say that. Whereas I think the ladies tend to be, there's more to this picture.
Yes, you are something of a voice of reason, cautioning against the worst of the YouTube finance channels. I've heard you saying that, that's one of the worst things that's going on at the moment, is people just watching these YouTubers, blindly copying them and getting burned in the process.
It's sort of counterintuitive, I guess, being a YouTuber. I have thought how ironic it is that I'm on the platform saying don't watch videos from me in a way as a YouTuber. But if YouTube disappeared tomorrow, it's not going to affect my lifestyle. Whereas I think if you look at someone like Andre Gic, who I used to love his videos because he started out about dividend and regular investing, and now he's pushing out meme coins. And it's a shame that he's sold out a little bit. But when YouTube stops, his crazy YouTube salary stops, and sold his soul a little bit. This is why I'm saying the .com book by John Cassidy is well worth a read, because it is eerily similar to the .com bubble, maybe mixed in with a little bit of Great Depression from the US printing money, and the Fed also now coming out a couple of days ago that they're going to raise 3 times. I think we're coming into dangerous waters. It doesn't mean that it's going to be as bad as the .com or the 2008 crash or even the Great Depression, but I think a lot of these people will be called out. So we'll see who's right in 5 years if I'm still here and he's still here. That's I think the difference. I think you've also seen a lot of, in the short term, the AMC YouTubers, they're starting to drop off now because AMC is crashing. In full transparency, I did YouTube out of boredom. It wasn't, there ever, and it still isn't to make loads of money. It's there more for me to still push the message I was pushing about retirement when I was actually working, which is something I loved. sure we'll get into that more in a minute.
Yeah, well, let me talk about your message here. This is your description on YouTube. Let me read that out. Our goal is simple: inspire regular people to start investing and grow their own wealth. Having 15 years of experience in the finance sector, I've learned the rich get richer through constantly investing. I think it's time regular folk take a similar approach. On this channel, you'll find lessons I've learned through my own investing journey, along with my own opinion on individual stocks and services. The stock market is a tough arena, and my aim is to sharpen the learning curve for new investors. So that paints a picture of what you're all about.
I haven't edited that in a long time, but it is exactly what it is on the tin. Yeah,
It still holds up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about your accent. Now, I like to think I'm a pretty good detective when it comes to accents.
Good luck.
But yours, yeah, is tricky. It's got little bits of different things thrown in. And obviously you're northern.
Yeah.
I think you're more east than west. I'm going to just say Yorkshire and see where that lands.
It's a weird one because it's a bit of a journey. My father's a Scouser, which might be that twang you hear, and my mother's from Teesside, Stockton, Middlesbrough area.
Yeah, I heard northeast. I mean, there's little hints of northeast.
And I sort of took a lot from my father, but I grew up in Teesside.
Ah, there you go.
But I was always having a Scouse accent-ish in school when I say words like in implementation. I just can't say it like a Geordie or a Smoky from Middlesbrough. But I also left home at 16 to join the military, and I moved down south, served in various places, and then I haven't lived in England since I was really 16. So, 17. I lived in Moscow, and try and speak to a Russian with a Scouse accent or a Geordie, you got no chance. So it slowly had to die off. But I'm home in the UK at the moment now for Christmas. I'm spending a bit of time in Liverpool, and you'll hear in the videos in January the Scouse accent come through for a couple of weeks until it slowly fades off again.
Once you get back to work.
Once I get, you can't really say get back to work in Liverpool because not many people do, but that's a different joke in itself. Then. So being from there, I can't, you can't come at me in the comments. It's okay.
All right, let's get to know you a little bit better by asking you to tell us something you're very bad at.
Ooh, saying no to what I deem a good investment. Maybe that could be stubbornness in a way. And what I mean by that is more on the entrepreneurial side. I can go into that more if you want. But I opened a hair salon. I've done a bar. I've got 2 shooting ranges in Budapest. And genuinely, I love the process of starting something, getting it up and running, and then I get bored with it, to be honest. With the shooting range, which is the newest project, it hasn't got to that point. And maybe that's one of the good things about YouTube is that that's sort of pushing me more to invest more and more into equities, commodities, and things of the sort. But even property, I despise investing in property. But I'm here buying a house this weekend, so there you go.
And how come you live in Hungary?
Tough question. Originally, I came here, I got offered a partnership with a financial firm from Moscow. I was, I think, 25, something around this, 24, 25. And I was going to be the youngest partner. And this is quite a big company. And I just took the opportunity to move. I was planning to be there 2 to 3 years maximum. Met a girl there, married, kids, trapped. I'll die there.
Very good. You met a Hungarian woman?
I actually met a Russian girl in Hungary.
Wow. What an international man of mystery.
Yeah, it's crazy. So now in my boy's head, it's he's 2. He's speaking, not speaking, but English, Russian, and Hungarian. And I don't know if you know about the Hungarian language, but it's one of the hardest in the world. So chaos. And I only speak English. Yeah, and bad English.
Okay, let's have a question from the art of people. Can you pick a number between 1 and 10?
Let's go for 6.
What's one thing you would like to be doing or to have 5 years from now?
Do you want the first answer to come into my head?
Sure.
Sailing. There's a story behind this. We can go into it. I think it's a valuable story in a way. that I always say defined me as a person in a financial sense. I'm not into sailing. I've been sailing once in the Solent when I was in the military for my 20th birthday, funnily enough. And I remember walking around a harbour somewhere near Portsmouth, and I didn't enjoy sailing. I'm getting older now, so maybe I would, but I was a 20-year-old single guy. I wanted to go and celebrate in a boozer, not on a boat. But that's what I had, a week away, no wind, no sun, so it wasn't very enjoyable. But I remember walking around the harbour, and there was kids my age partying on this, I wouldn't say mega yacht, but £4 or £5 million yacht. I remember when I got back to camp, I Googled it, and it just stuck in my head for some reason. It was probably mummy and daddy's money, if we're talking plainly. I remember it sticking in my head. I'm not going to swear, but some MF has worked out a way to afford this boat. And a couple of days went by, and I was in HQ waiting to be told off for something, most probably. And it had all the payments for every soldier at each rank. I was way ahead in the military in terms of promotions. I was due to get promoted again. And I remember seeing if I get to the highest level of a non-commissioned officer and I'm there for 10 years, which is impossible, I'd earn, I think it was like £65,000 a year. I'd have a great pension, but my body would be broken. I still can't afford that yacht. And I don't want that yacht, by the way, at this time. And immediately there and then, I went to the computer, logged into their system, and said, this is my 1 year notice. I had a few plans of what I wanted to do, but it was more that I didn't like, you're in this limit. This is your limits. Now, that's a lot of money to a lot of people. And I'm not really necessarily money driven that much, but I don't like people putting limits on me. So anyway, long story short, things have gone a lot better than expected. Let's say that. In Hungary, there's a very famous lake called Lake Balaton. It's a huge, huge lake. And you go sailing one end to the other end, it'll take you a day or so. So next summer, I'm starting sailing lessons. And I've told the wife that when the Sprog has left the nest, why don't we get a little boat and sail around the Med casually, as you do. In 5 years, hopefully, I'm not in a shipwreck. Let's say that.
Okay, Pete, let's get into it a little bit here, shall we? Can I ask you to start by turning your attention to your bio and maybe read us that main central paragraph to paint a picture of what you're all about?
Sure. The aim is to buy long-term holds with a minimum of 50% upside in a 12 to 36 month period. Only copy with a minimum of 2 year time frame in mind. About me, I'm an ex-financial advisor and wealth manager. I've had over 15 years experience. Now slowly taking a step back as I came into early retirement. I'm currently 35, not 34, and the target is to be finished, hang up my suit fully, close the YouTube channel by 40. As a value investor, I make sure all my positions are researched carefully. Sometimes my positions may not be the trend, so feel free to ask any questions on any given position. Be safe out there and good luck.
Okay, so this is your bio, but you're not a typical PI.
No.
Everything is in the context of your coffee to 100K challenge, right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell the listener what that's all about.
So eToro approached me saying that they want to sponsor me, and as did most brokers, including interactive brokers. I keep no secret, that's where the bulk of my investments are with, in equity related terms, with IB. But eToro, I feel, has a unique stance in the way that they're limiting stocks in a way. So, you can't really go and buy a penny stock, for example. So that's one of the reasons I listened to what they had to say. And then they were pushing me for about 2 years to do the copy trader thing because they said I'd be popular and all that stuff. But the problem is I don't really like people copying my trades openly. I think the goal of my YouTube channel is to teach people to fish, not give them a fish. That's where it sort of came in. But I realized there is a core problem from the chat room. We've had people with us for 4 years now, and this is a great month, December, where we're recording this, because this month I noticed that when I put in the funds, the 180 per month, I warn everybody, $180 a month will be added to this account until we get to over 100K.
180 being how much people spend on coffee on a daily basis or something.
A coffee, a large Starbucks coffee a day in New York. Yeah. And the idea was that within 15 years, you'll have over $100,000. So if you just go on the S&P average. And what I realized is people, let's do it tomorrow is the mindset, let's miss December. And I've seen that even with the copy, I see how much people have invested. Not many people have actually added this 180 this month because it's Christmas. And I feel that then you get in the habit of, oh, let's miss January as well because, I need to, buy new shoes or whatever you're doing, and I'll pick it back up in February. Then February comes around and it's Valentine's Day. Then March, you're looking at holidays. So the idea is for me to sort of say, look, you need to do something, okay? And $180 is not enough for a retirement account in any way, shape, or form. But $100,000 is enough to buy an apartment in most places. And that in itself is helping a lot of people. There's a few people on there now. James comes to mind, who's in our chat room, our WhatsApp group. He's a really good guy. And, he's just a normal bloke in every sense. And now he bought into AMC and he finally sold it a couple of days ago and kicked the can away. And I've seen this guy individually in the last year change and look at things like free cash flow instead of reading Reddit. And he's regularly investing every month and asking things like, can I put more than 180 in? Absolutely. The whole idea of the coffee to 100K was, first thing, it's a catchy title. And I think everybody can miss a Starbucks coffee a day. It doesn't have to be coffee, it can be a meal or whatever. But $180 it's not even the bare minimum people should be saving if they want to have dreams of whatever, really. But it's there just to kick people up the backside and say, look, keep up or fall behind. And if you miss 180, then eToro will warn you and say, you're not going to be allocated with the next trade this guy does. So it was more of a way of forcing eToro to help me force people to invest more and more money on a regular basis. Now, the investment strategy there is obviously a little bit different to the strategy I have personally on my bulk of wealth, because I'm quite actually a risk diverse guy, or I feel so. But now I'm slowly moving out of a lot of US stocks, for example. If you go on my 14 months of eToro up until this China thing happened, we were up about 3 times the money. And then China happened, and someone messaged me the other day and said, why do we keep buying Alibaba? I said, read the bio. It tells you why. Long may it stay low, because every month, this $180, I'm allocating a piece of it at this cheap price until something in terms of the statements of Alibaba happen. I'm not too worried. China will still be there. It's not going to sink.
Sure. Yeah, we'll talk about your individual positions a little bit later on. But just want to get an idea of what the coffee to 100K was all about. And can I ask, currently you've got 74 copiers.
Yes.
Are they all coffee to 100K people, or have some of them come along since then?
I think a lot of them are coffee to 100K, because whenever I put in the 180, it does jump up the amount under management. So I'd say that's more the long term, if you want to call it that. 80, 90% are probably coffee to 100K.
And what's the timeline on the coffee to 100K challenge?
I think it's 14 years. You'll have to watch the video. I can't remember off the top of my head, to be honest, but it's been there on the profile. I think it's 14 years.
So that would then suggest that you're not planning to make the jump from doing that to becoming a sort of proper, in inverted commas, PI anytime soon.
I've thought about it with my main eToro account, making it public. And again, I feel really bad when people lose money. Like, I take it personally in a way, and that's one of the reasons why I don't have that public. And with this one, the whole focus is, I think we can all agree, even if we don't make a single percent, and people just save $180 a month. They're going to be thankful later on. So that's the reason I've sort of set this up. But I don't think I'll do the whole PI thing after this. No.
It's interesting you say that because, I'm a bit older than the average eToro user. And I've been down the road of having a financial advisor and setting up this 20-year scheme for some reason, thinking 20 years wasn't that long.
Yeah.
Turned out to be far too long. But I was putting away a good chunk of my salary every month. And the discipline of that was really the best thing about it.
Yes.
The returns were substandard. The fees were horrific on reflection.
Yes.
And, that's the whole reason why something like eToro is a big game changer.
I agree. I think eToro's got a very good market. My whole thing is the coffee to 100K is sort of, when this finishes, again, not saying I'll be on a yacht, but I'm planning to shave off the beard and hang up the tie. If somebody asks me what I do, I always say I'm sort of retired. I mean, from the age of 31, I've been very lucky in a way. I'd say I work hard for everything I've done, and I never really do something for free. I've sort of built that into my mantra, if you want to call it that. But I think living in Budapest, it's not the most expensive city. I have no mortgage on the house I live in. I've got several rental properties, soon to be one more. In terms of retirement calculation, I'm pretty much there now. So I've got a lot of surplus income, let's say that. And that's why I'm saying I need to stop buying things like hair salon and bars from the surplus income and sort of be more conservative. So with the main popular investor program, why my account's not popular is there could be a time where I find that yacht and I don't want to leave people hanging. That's sort of the drawback. And this is why I said at the end of the coffee to 100K, it's going to be the beard is shaved. And that's sort of the goodbye farewell.
Okay, let's talk about some of the things that I normally discuss with PIs in relation to their portfolio. Let's just run through some of those.
Sure.
Do you think your risk score on eToro is fair?
No. I think it should be higher, to be honest. Again, if I'm rambling too much, please tell me. But I think it should be higher because with any regular savings plan, if it's especially a long-term one over 5 years, you should be a lot more aggressive in the beginning and slowly scale down to low risk. We're really heavy into China now. And a lot of financial advisors are obviously based in the States, so they have a natural bias towards America. But I think anyone logical will see that if the rates continue going the way they are, even excluding the crazy amounts of US dollars printed, China is on course to become the biggest economy in the world. Without getting politically into it too much, there's a big sort of media negative towards China, but I think you've also got to look at it as the regime that's in power have lifted China from not having food for people to becoming, will be the biggest economy in the world one day. It's a different culture in terms of they like to innovate, then regulate, whereas we're the other way around in the West. As far as human rights goes, it's a concern, but we have that in the States as well, in every industry. So at the moment, we're at the beginning. We're in the first year of the Coffee 200, so we should be aggressive. I genuinely, we'll talk about the positions later, but I feel there's certain companies in China that if China does become the biggest economy in the world, they're going to be a top 5 company in the world. So do you want to buy into that? And if we're wrong, the good news is we're not wrong when we've got 90K in our account. We're wrong when we've got $5,000. So that's sort of what I'm trying to instill in people is when you're starting a savings plan, you want to buy as cheap as possible and pray the companies, provided they're good, go down in value as long as you're regular investing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really tempted to talk about individual positions, but I don't want to just yet. Okay, let's just run through some of these other things. Right, so as mentioned, copier number's 74.
Yes.
I'm just looking at your copier graph. It's a continuous growth, really. There's a little bit of up and down. Are people joining your coffee to 100K challenge as time goes on as well? I kind of expected your graph to be an initial jump and then a plateau because everyone joined at the same time.
We've been riding around the 70 to 80 era for a while. And I think that's down to the portfolio not doing well in the short term. But I think as more people naturally find videos on eToro, one of the videos that is getting 100 views every week is the Coffee to 100K challenge. Okay, it's not mega amounts of views, but I think when people find it, it relates to them a little bit. So slowly it catches up. But again, a lot of these people, unfortunately, in the world of investing, they see Dogecoin triple overnight and they want to be on that train. So they drop off as well. So the sticking rate is probably about 1 in 10, 2 in 10 to it. It's a bit of a unique concept, I think, on eToro, but and I don't really want to buy Bitcoin or cryptocurrency because that's a different argument.
Okay, trades per week and average holding time. Trades per week, 6.5. Average holding time, 3 months. Does that paint an accurate picture?
In the last 12 months, obviously, yes. I'd say that will change, and the holding time will get a lot longer, and the trades per week will change. I've been putting in a few hedges lately, so that trades per week is probably a little bit higher, and adjusting a few bits. For example, I shorted Tesla a week ago, made 8%, I think, in 2 days, locked that one out. So I've been trying to keep the portfolio grinding along while China gets beaten up, with a little bit of more trader mentality than investor mentality, which seems to be hedging okay for now. So I'd say the trades per week will probably fall in the next couple of years, and holding time will probably be a minimum of 12 months.
And in terms of communication, I'm just looking down through your feed here. It's
not a lot.
Well, it's video heavy. It's links to your videos, and that's where you do all your communicating.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Sorry to plug the chat room here. We have a Discord for any eToro member to join. So I remember putting out some comments on AMC, and I'm the type of guy, as you know, who doesn't like hype stocks because you could be on a train wreck. And everybody's commenting on it, in a negative way. And again, I don't care about this, but in a way, I get a much more civil discussion from people trying to learn in the Discord. So a lot of my stuff I post in there rather than on eToro. So if you're watching this and you want to join the Discord, any of the videos, the pinned comment, there's an email address there. Just email, I'll give you access.
So you think that's a natural difference between the feed and the Discord? The feed can be a shit show. Engaged people will go to the Discord for a more reasoned back and forth.
In the Discord, I talk about stocks that aren't even on eToro. So, for example, there's a company, AMC Networks, not the cinema company, which I feel is currently quite undervalued. I think a buyout's very possible. So we've had a big discussion on that, for example. But if I was to put it on eToro, I can't even tag that company. So it's just 75 people or however many people who are following, like 500. So there's no real back and forth, and then your phone's lighting up. I don't have that much time, obviously. So on the Discord, it's something that, when I'm driving or, I'm currently having lunch, I can check the Discord quicker than I can reply to every comment. And then it's just quicker. Long story short.
Dear listener, just a little pause here to say a few things directly to you. The calendar is full until the end of the year. That will mean 52 episodes, which seems like a good time to pause and call it Season 1 and take stock. It's been a lot of fun and a lot of time and effort, but I'm pleased to be creating something of value for eToro users, particularly copy traders. Whether there will be a Season 2 depends on a number of factors. I say it elsewhere, but I want to repeat it again here to really encourage a little action from you. If you want to see the podcast continue, you can help by bringing more listeners in. A lot of people still don't know about Copytraders Club, so post about it on your PI's feed in eToro. Mention it on a Facebook group, or in whatever Discord groups you're in. That's not too much of an ask, is it? On the podcast apps, there's always a share function that includes copy link. Use that. Or copy the YouTube channel link and share that. Or share a link to your favourite episode. There are many ways to eat an orange. I also have one of those affiliate links for new eToro signups in every episode's show notes. So, if you know someone interested in signing up, please copy and send them that link and help support the show that way. Now, I know these calls to action that you hear on podcasts can easily be ignored, and I always ignore them myself, let's be honest. But this time, I am asking you, as someone who listens to and enjoys this one-person independent podcast, to make a little effort to help it along. You can even press pause and take 2 minutes to do it right now. If you do, know that I am grateful. If you don't, every time you hear this bit, you will be overcome with a crippling sense of guilt and unworthiness. Until you do. Back to the show. Okay, Pete, let's get into your portfolio a little bit. Let's have some broad brush descriptions. Your asset class allocation is roughly stocks 85%, ETFs 13%, crypto 2%.
That's a short position.
The crypto?
Yes.
What are you shorting?
That's more of a trade. I'm short Bitcoin. I'm up about 14% right now.
Good work. Let's discuss some other positions of particular interest. Your Gaga for Baba.
Yes.
You've been nibbling away for many months.
Many months, and long may it continue. So, I mean, there's a lot of comparisons between Alibaba and Amazon, and I think it's sort of unjustified in a way because of the way the markets work. But there's a big sort of misconception in the whole China space, I think. As an expat, I'm lucky enough to have experienced a lot of different cultures, and it's a 2-hour flight from Hungary to the UK, and the culture difference is immense. From China to America, I mean, it's an apple and not even a banana. It's an apple and a VW pickup truck. Two completely different cultures, and I think that the sanctions and the fines that are going on at the moment in China are obviously not good in the short term. In the long term, it's China saying, "Don't mess with us." In terms of Alibaba, I think China's governing powers need Alibaba on side. Their infrastructure not only employs a lot of people, but if Alibaba disappeared tomorrow, the infrastructure to replace Alibaba isn't there. So then you've got a people who can't buy things online. They've got a lot of fintech. I think, long story short, if everybody's on the same team in China, in the long run, it's better for China. And I think that in their head, they only want what's best for the country. The biggest problem right now is the Didi IPO, and they were warned not to IPO. And there's been a big example made there. And I think rightfully so. But I don't think Alibaba will delist.
You think the Didi circumstances were very specific to Didi? And the risk of contagion isn't that great into other companies that are playing ball with the regulations?
If Alibaba was to delist and they're forced to by the Chinese government, there's no real win for the Chinese government there. But even if they did delist, the Hong Kong exchange is one of the best exchanges in the world. So, okay, it's going to get hammered in the meantime. But if you believe the financial statements, which on Alibaba I actually do because they're audited by one of the biggest 4 companies in the world who do audits, 5 years down the line, I mean, Alibaba's an absolute steal. Free cash flow alone. Every ratio just says it's a buy. The only risk is China.
And similar logic applies to various other Chinese entities.
Exactly. I was a big fan of JD as well, but I actually came out of that position because JD sort of had a big run recently when the markets calmed down. So I think I locked in 30% gains on JD. just to take some off the table. And since then, JD started falling again. So JD might become interesting again. And I think that if you look at JD and Alibaba in terms of potential, you're probably going to make a lot more money buying JD than Alibaba right now. The problem I've got really is, again, I've got a lot of people's money also following this account. So I want to slow down buying into Chinese entities unless I am fully convicted that in the long term they're going to do well. And Alibaba's, again, free cash flow, you probably guess, is my favorite metric. Alibaba's just got the lowest chance of bankruptcy out of them all. So that's one of the reasons why Alibaba is such a huge position.
Yeah, how huge is it? Well, in the invested column, it's 31.9 and value 27.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's a serious high conviction bet.
Well, it's not that high in my main portfolio, but for obvious reasons.
Your buddy Munger is a big Baba fan too.
Exactly. Buddy, that's quite funny. I mean, I didn't know Charlie Munger was in Alibaba until probably a year of holding it. And the way my investment strategy sort of works is I always have a starter position, let's say. So in my main portfolio, I've got I think it's just shy of 100K there. And for example, I think the initial calculation was something like 225 into Alibaba. So I'm still buying it on the way down. And the way my whole buying strategy works, if you like, is I always have a nibble. And if it falls, I buy more and more as time goes on, in a timely manner, if you want to call it that. Because of the trading side of me, I struggle to buy companies on the way up.
Yeah.
I can't do it. That's a trading mentality. So when I see Alibaba down 40%, it's a great day. It's a great day.
Well, you must be having lots of great days at the moment because it's a bit of a bloodbath out there.
Yeah, and it's something that I'm trying to instill a little bit into the chat room. That, I mean, buying companies on the way down is scary in itself for people who are, let's say, new to the game. And I think that the price of the stock does not matter. The only thing that matters is the financials. And if your calculation is correct, or you have enough conviction for it to be correct, and you can still be wrong, by the way, I could still be wrong in Alibaba, but provided my intrinsic value calculations, my free cash flow calculations, and the only real risk I see is that Alibaba gets delisted from the US and either goes OTC or moves to Hong Kong, I'm okay with.
Well, it sounds like you're very much a bull in a china shop right now.
I like that pun. I'm going to get that printed on a shirt.
Well, let's talk about some other of your positions. Let's move on to Dick's.
Yeah, I love Dick's.
Dick's Sporting Goods is another stock you own. It's not often seen on eToro. So why do you love Dick's? Do you expect Dick's to go up, to push higher?
I think if there's, enough momentum, the Dick's will go very hard and very high, and it will be pushed and pulled a lot by a lot of investors. But I think that, without the puns aside, I think this is a supremely undervalued stock. I think there's certain companies out there, Dick's, Smith & Wesson is another one. They're not going to be Amazon. There's a lot of new investors who want to buy Facebook, Apple, Amazon because they know them.
Yeah.
And they see these stores and companies as being a place of the past. But these are sound businesses with great fundamentals. They're buying back shares with loads of free cash flow.
I like the look of it as well. As long as there isn't a blow-off top. And also, good to see you putting your money where your mouth is.
Jesus. I hope my wife doesn't hear this. But there we go.
Okay. Yeah, let's put Dick's behind us and move away from such adolescent wordplay. I heard you say your target was 12% a year in a recent video.
Yes. On an average, yeah.
In today's to-the-moon investing environment, that seems like an incredibly unambitious target. So break that down for us.
If you've seen any of my videos, just go into the comments of any of the AMC or GameStop videos, or Lucid Motors or Rivian, and just read the comments. That's who you're investing with. I always try and say it that whenever I try and make, let's call it I don't think it's controversial, but a controversial video saying AMC is going to implode, as an example. A lot of people really want the narrative of everyone's going to go to the moon and make money. And if you look in the comments of AMC, it's just, this guy is a shill. He was paid by the hedge funds. No logic. In my last AMC video, I used nothing more than mathematics to prove points. And I said, come at me with other mathematical arguments and I'll tolerate you. And I have not had one comment. I think it's like 300 comments in. Everything is just paid hedge fund shill. That's all it is. And think about that for a second. There's a bull and a bear in most cases. And in AMC's case, as an example, I've just given you a mathematical equation. And the other guy is just saying, I was paid by a hedge fund to make a video. Which person would you like to listen to? And that's sort of the thing I'm trying to instill. Because if you're going to make 500% or even 50% today, there's a good chance you're going to lose 100%. Sometimes even more if you're shorting on the other day. It's not sustainable. If it was, Warren Buffett would be one of the worst investors in the world. It's that simple.
So you think there's a lot of young people around who have only been in the game a very short time and they see the numbers that we've gone through in the recent bull run and they just can't believe that the world could turn upside down?
Right now, I feel in the last 2 years, it's been impossible not to make money in investing, unless you copied my portfolio, because we're down 4% on the year.
Well, a lot of people are down this year, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the point is, it's a great book, Richer, Wiser, Happier. If you're a new investor, just get the audio book, because majority of young people don't have time to stop watching TikTok. But the audio book, when you're in the car, on a bus, whatever you're doing, listen to it. I've listened to that book 4 or 5 times, and I forget the guy who wrote it, but he's going around speaking to the best investors in history and giving you his insights to them. And not one of them is making 500% a month or a year. And you're talking about some of the richest people in the world and some of the greatest investors ever to have lived. So if you think that you can make 500% year on year, you're insane. It won't happen.
Yeah, William Green is the author of that book. It is an excellent read. He talks to some incredible people in history who've had sustained, prolonged success. Mm-hmm. That's what people don't realize. It's the ability to have sustained success rather than flash in the pan moments of wonder and then the following year to lose it all. History is littered with people who've done that.
The best, I love the Moresh Pabrai chapter, but the best one for me is, because I can relate to him, was the Templeton section in the book where, he'd moved to this island and he's an old guy with crazy amounts of sun cream on his face in the sea, doing sort of, I think it was star jumps in the sea.
Yeah.
Because it was too hot to exercise outside. So he'd found a way to exercise doing something he loves, even though he looks like an absolute imbecile in William Green's eyes. But he didn't care. And I really related to that. And it's sort of, if you, maybe I can show you some, but on my YouTube channel, YouTube filters a lot of comments, a lot of naughty words and things like this. And from time to time, I read them because they're funny. And these are quite offensive things people are saying. And I get off on it. I really get off on it in a way, because I don't care what people think either. And that really related to me. And I'm not saying I'm as good an investor as him, because I'm clearly not. But, he was buying companies that are going bankrupt during the World War. People were calling him insane. And his whole focus was their assets are worth more than the valuation right now. So even if they did go bankrupt, I make money. He was a young kid then. I was quite sort of unlucky enough to start my journey of investing at the end of the, like 2010, 2011 was when I sort of really started finance. So I've only seen a bull run, and I really want a bear market to see if I've got what it takes to continue buying. And I think Alibaba's been a good testament to that, where I have to stick to the process. That's it. And coming back to it, that's another thing that all of these investors had, was a process and faith, knowing that their valuations are right. And that doesn't mean you should have faith in AMC or Lucid or Dogecoin, because what is your intrinsic calculation? And I think that you can have a plan, but the plan needs to be of a sound mind. In the same book, actually, I think there's I think it was Moresh Babrai, and he was saying whenever he looks at an investment, he tries to be as, like, he openly wants to hate the company reading a financial statement, and the company's got to sell itself to him. And I think in the world we live today, where if you've just clicked on a video saying, let's buy Palantir is the title, you don't need to hear anything else, because the guy's already made his mind up.
Mm-hmm.
And even in my Alibaba videos, obviously I'm bullish on them because I'm in Alibaba, but I also say that I hope there's 2 years of downside on this. I want that pain.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It'll take years for your Alibaba conviction to fully realize the ultimate result. And people don't seem to have years. Commenters, YouTube people, all that.
That's the crazy thing. I mean, go and check out a guy called New York Angelo on YouTube. It's horrific. He's a very big AMC bull, and it's absolutely horrific.
Well, on that subject, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, do you think there's a chance that eToro and its very sort of public open source nature could spell the end for these irresponsible YouTube finance channels?
I'd say no. It's possible because I like the idea that you can open source and see people's accounts. I like that idea that it's, you can go and see my account in the Coffee to 100K and say this guy doesn't know what he's talking about because he lost 4% this year. That's fine. I think that's actually a good thing. I know a little bit more than the average bear on what's coming on eToro in the next year because of the partnerships we've got in the pipeline. But I think eToro is going to be a lot bigger than what it is this year, next year, and the year after. A hell of a lot bigger. But I don't think you're ever going to take away from hype channels.
Well, think about what would happen if eToro gets into the States in its fullest form, and you've got stocks and all of the asset classes, and you've got copy trading.
I think it will be huge.
Now, would all these Kevins and Jeremys and all of those guys, would they not be under pressure then to move across and to make money for their followers rather than making money off the backs of their followers?
I think it would cause a bit of pressure, but at the same time, I think the people mentioned, I mean, I've obviously done a lot of research. Meet Kevin, I think he's a great entertainer and a lucky investor in equities. I mean, he's a property guy, much better at property than I am, who makes a lot of money. And now YouTube's paying him a crazy amount of money and he's buying Tesla on the way up, which is insane. I hope I'm wrong. I never want to see anybody lose money in the stock market. And I think also as well, these guys are so in bed with Webull or whoever it is. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not allowed to when eToro comes, because eToro is going to America. And I think it's the only real competitor Robinhood has if eToro sorts out one of two of its issues. And this is something I stressed to them recently. And if they do fix these issues, I think they could be the biggest sort of lower tier platform from investing. I don't think they'll ever be able to compete with IB. But I don't think it'll be the end of Meet Kevin or whatever, because they just won't talk about it.
Well, those individuals might not, but if they have rivals in the space who are doing the eToro thing and they're kicking ass and they're getting really great results and they're making money for their copiers,
yeah,
and they're getting paid handsomely by eToro, I think that could really shake things up.
I think it could. Don't get me wrong. I mean, part of it comes down to me as well, and I'm a direct guy, and I don't mean this in offense, but I also don't care too much about other YouTubers. And the only thing I'm sort of concerned of, and I think would be good, is YouTube regulation on financial advice. But I can't see that happening either. So who knows?
You sort of touched on a couple of issues there that maybe eToro needs to address for the future to be as bright for them as it might be. I suspect one of them, from watching your videos, is the number of stocks available through eToro. I've heard you say that's the biggest problem. You're forever looking up tickers only to find they don't exist on the platform.
Yeah, this is something that I voiced. Again, I work very well with some people on eToro, and eToro has a great team. They're very cautious on what they offer. I've said to them before about, why don't you offer a free stock for signups as an example? Not allowed to, even though some brokers in the UK or Europe do. That's a different financial license. That's a gambling license. So they take steps very slowly in everything they do, but it's always the right steps. And that's one of the reasons I like them. On the stock front, they've got two pillars to weigh up. One is, I feel they don't have a lot of cryptocurrencies on there, for example, because they see it as a scam, or a stock as a higher risk stock, like a penny stock, for example. And the other hand is, even if they did list it, would enough people buy it? Because that's how they make their money. So I think they've got this sort of pillar fight off between stocks. I mean, I mentioned AMC Networks. That's not on there, but it's not a popular stock if you look on the volume. So they're not going to make that much money on it. So they're better off concentrating and doing due diligence on Dogecoin. As mad as it sounds, because they've got to balance up the demand versus the equity themselves with the way they work. They are adding a lot of new stuff, and that's one of them for next year. The biggest drive ever, actually, to add new stocks.
Fantastic. Let's talk about another stock I've heard you mention on your channel. Tell us the story of your local pub and Sirius Minerals.
Yeah, so this is one of the biggest sort of lessons I learned. If your nan knows about an investment, it's time to sell the investment. And I don't know where I got that from. So someone in the comments let me know if it's someone like Warren Buffett, but probably not, but something along them lines. I moved away. I had a career in wealth management and finance, and I came home. I live in it's a very small ex-mining village, and in the local bar, everyone was talking about Sirius Minerals. It's a local company that was due to offer more shares, and it was going to go to the moon because they were going to have some management restructures. And everyone in my local pub, and in this village I live in, by the way, it's all ex-bricklayers who then have owned a company to build a hospital. So they're all quite wealthy individuals in locally speaking terms. And I remember coming home and saying, you guys are insane, because this company is close to bankruptcy. The vote they're having is to dilute their share price by 100%. They want to double their share float or something along them lines. So I was then the guy who had 10 plus years experience in finance, who was also an idiot. and the bricklayer who built a hospital is a genius. Long story short, I shorted it. I made a lot of money on it, and I'm back home. I was at the local pub yesterday again. There's still a few people who are a bit upset about it. A lot of people went all in, and one guy actually had to remortgage his house. But the point is if the hype is too disingenuous and you see something that is hyped too much, there's always a reason and an agenda. To me, it was very clear this company was in a bad way. They've gone and told all their employees, there's great news coming. One person talks to another. Your nan knows about it. It's time to sell.
The first time I heard about it was on the official eToro podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Where the two guys, the two co-hosts, talked about their worst ever investment with Sirius Minerals.
Wow.
And they're a couple of young London guys. So they wouldn't have been in your local boozer.
Definitely not, no. So it got everywhere.
So I'm not sure quite why they stumbled across it.
You know, the UK stock market is quite a small place, you know, in comparison to the US. And I think that the hype can be real, you know, and my whole thing is as a rule of thumb, my father, if he tells me anything about stocks, my instant thing is I need to short this as soon as possible. Like, because why am I listening to this guy for financial advice? That's what it comes down to. And it's the same with YouTube. It's the same with everything. Sirius was it's just always stuck in my head because I've got people close to my family who lost a lot of money.
Let's talk a bit more about copy trading. This is Copytraders Club, after all. Pete, if you were a copy trader,
Yep.
what would your approach be? How many PIs would you copy? How would you structure your portfolio?
It's hard to look in and say that because anyone who knows me from the chat room, it's like getting blood from a stone when you want to see what my price target is or something like that. As a rule of thumb, my circle is very small in who I trust. Very small. I think that's one of the reasons why I've been so successful in the way that I give everybody one chance and I'm expecting them to let me down on that chance. And it's sort of the same with investing, because if I watched a YouTube video, even on Alibaba, with fresh eyes, and somebody's telling me, Ray Dalio even would be telling me to buy it, what's in it for him? Why is he lying? And I think with copy trading, for me personally, I don't do it. And it's counterintuitive because I think it's a great thing. And I don't think you can put a number on it. It's more about what is that person's goal? What is that person going to be there a long time or a short time? What are you looking for as a person?
Well, those are all fair enough questions to ask of a PI.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, first thing I would say is if you're looking to put a fixed amount away for a couple of years, 3 or 4 people who've got a 3 or 4 year proven record, whose alignment into equities, for example, if you're bullish on tech and they are heavily in tech, that would make sense. But the biggest thing I'd say look for is how are they doing in COVID. That's one of the things when I was looking at, sorry, we can't say that, the Miley Cyrus. When the Miley Cyrus happened.
I've used your term Miley Cyrus on a previous episode, by the way, and I didn't credit you with it. So let me do that officially here today.
Every time you say it, I get $1. I always go into things when I see an investor is how did they do during big corrections? And we're quite lucky that we can see what happened during the Miley Cyrus. And I think that if you look at that, it's not necessarily that you want to see them outperform the market in a way in the downside. Did they panic sell their positions? Did they add? That's the first thing I'd look at.
Yeah. Well, plenty of them did absolutely nothing and then just let the market take them back up again.
And for me personally, that's what I would have done. Actually, I would have bought more, and I did in a lot of companies. So it's about you as an individual, and there's no right or wrong answer. I think the biggest message really would be is be in the market. I think eToro has done a good thing now with their investor portfolios, I think they're called, where you have like electrical car portfolios and stuff. But I'm just not a trusting person, so it's hard for me to say.
Well, it sounds like you're very much, you have to be convinced deep in your core of every decision.
Exactly.
So you make your own decisions. So it's just not for you.
It took me about 3 years to buy Berkshire Hathaway. I didn't even trust Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. I've got to trust 2 guys I've never met. And that's where I think being a financial advisor, I've worked with Morgan and I've worked with Goldman, I've worked with JP Morgan, and 99% of the people who work there I wouldn't trust with my money. So I find it hard to copy a guy who's got a platform on eToro, which sounds crazy because a lot of them are really good investors.
Yeah. Well, you're on the other side of the equation. You're in fact a PI and you're running your own project.
Yeah, and this is why mine's not a quick gain. It's to get people to invest regularly. That's the focus there. I mean, you had Rob Merck on recently. I like Rob a lot. I disagree with some of his positions personally, like Palantir and stuff. But I'd say if I was going to copy someone, he's probably up there because he puts out a lot of information. And if you are going to copy someone, my portfolio definitely shouldn't be one place to look at because I don't put out that information there. And unless you're going to join the chat room, I'm not there to convince you. I'm there to get you to regular save.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was looking to invest in someone, I'm not saying Rob's a good person to go invest in, but at least he's giving you a lot of information on a daily basis. Whether that's right or wrong, if it lines up with you personally, then that's what I'd look for. And also how they did in the crash.
Do you know any PIs personally?
Yes. Oh, you want me to go deeper in that? Actually, there's a guy, a good friend of mine called Igor. I'm not going to pronounce his surname. He's a Russian guy. He lives in Budapest, works for a bank here. Really clever guy. We disagree on probably 90% of investments, but he puts out a lot of good information. GLGOR_0T1.
Igor Gerutsky.
Yeah, I'm not going to pronounce that. But he's a good guy. He's a bit more heavy in crypto and things like that. Yeah, so Igor, you owe me a beer for plugging you.
Well, we've had Lizzie Apokaya on before, who's a Hungarian, who's currently living in Mexico.
Yeah. Oh, she's in Mexico.
Well, he.
Oh, okay. Lizzie.
Yeah, Lizzie Apokaya means Lizzie's father.
Ah, okay.
Apparently. I don't know how good your Hungarian is.
I speak no Hungarian. I've only been there 9 years.
All right, final question, Pete. What question do you wish I had asked you during this chat?
Well, you didn't ask anything about the beers, so let's just avoid that one. I love what you're... I have watched quite a few of your... or listened, should I say, to a few of your episodes. What I'd like you to ask other eToro users is, what would you do in a crash? You're going to get a lot of different answers. Biggest thing you hear now is you can't time the market. I disagree with that completely, because you can see what's coming. You just don't know what date it's going to come. You know, the US has printed a crazy amount of dollars. Times are going to be hard. You got supply chain issues and now a new variant. A correction's clearly not off the cards. Even with this infrastructure bill, you know, you got the taper tantrums coming. I'm shocked the market didn't react harder to it, which only adds to the inflation in the bubble. So I think you can see that's coming. How are you preparing for it? When do you think that crash will happen? Time frame as well would be a good one. And yeah, I think that's probably a good question, because I think you're going to get a lot of different answers.
Okay, well, I will take that under advisement. All right, Pete. Well, thank you very much for being here. It's been very interesting. We look forward to seeing how you get on with your coffee to 100K. Obviously, times are quite tough at the moment, but it's not a short-term project.
Absolutely not, no. 14 years.
If Copytraders Club is still going in 14 years, we'll have a roundup episode.
Thank you very much. The whiskey was awesome. Look forward to seeing you soon.
There you go, listener. That was the Tell It Like He Sees It, Peter Roscoe there. Interesting guy to talk to, and you can and should check out his channel, LWT Trading, on YouTube. Link in the show notes. That's all from me. You can continue the conversation on Discord and Facebook. If you like this podcast and want to see it continue, you can do your part by recommending it to one person or group of people this week. Until next time we meet at Copytraders Club, I wish you many happy returns. Obviously, anything you hear in this podcast is for entertainment only, not financial advice. Do your own research. This is just generic chit-chat. We don't know your individual circumstances, etc., and so forth.